All right, we are back, day 5, celebrating UTMB week here in Chamonix, France, joined by frequent guest friend Katie Schide. Before we get started, though, a little bit of station ID, and thanks to our partners NAC, Goreware, Raid, and Norda for literally, figuratively keeping the lights on here, making this possible. So head over to the show notes, click the links, and check out their stuff. Katie, how's it going today?
It's good to be here seeing you with your Maine shirt on. It was a nice welcome in the middle of Chamonix.
For anyone that is super into sports marketing or is curious about Maine or just wants to understand some of the coolest phenomenons going on right now, go check out Maine Heart of Pine. It's this minor league soccer team that is all the rage there. I was gifted this jersey, and I promised the person who gifted it that if and when we talked to Katie this week, we would bond over Maine, and I would wear this live to just spread the gospel of the team.
I'm a bit disappointed it might be replacing the Sea Dogs, which was my childhood minor league baseball team. But
yeah, we were trying to recall all the teams out there, and I don't know. This is the trendy one right now. Okay, talking about trail running. First question: Are you happy that you're not racing next Saturday here?
yeah, it is. I was wondering actually where this interview is going to go since I'm not racing. Like, what am I really gonna? What do I have to share here? But yeah, it's interesting. This is the first time I have not done a UTMB event since 2017 when I came to support Jarmon at his first CCC. Obviously the COVID year doesn't count, but since then I've been on a UTMB event every year. And this is the first time I am not racing. And it's interesting. It's kind of strange actually, like to not have any kind of I don't want to use anxiety because that sounds like really negative, but no, like, excitement dangling in the future. I mean, for sure, crewing it. I still have some excitement for following the race and for crewing, but it's not quite the same. So I wouldn't say I'm happy to not be racing. There's part of me that's like, darn. But I also know that I wasn't ready to train for any of these races. So that's where I can find some reassurance.
So easy decision to make.
It wasn't an easy decision to make.
Okay.
But because I made it, I can't go back on it now.
I actually wonder how flexible the race would be. Like, could you in the final hour be like, you got a bib?
I don't know. They're pretty it's hard to know what the real rules are.
Okay.
Yeah. In theory, I should not be able to.
So were you just at post Hardrock? Were you just sort of assessing everything and thinking yeah, there have been people that have done the Hardrock UTMB double, but that's just not where I'm at this year? Or was it just the draw of world champs?
Yeah, I think the first thing was that January 2024, when I was thinking about the 2024 season, I had said to myself that maybe I would want to do Western States and UTMB, but that I needed to be able to say no to UTMB if it wasn't going to be the right decision. And one of the reasons I wanted to do UTMB was because I wanted to do the World Champs in 2025, and I knew that it was too close and I couldn't do both. And so I kind of told myself, okay, if I do UTMB this year, then I won't do it next year, and I can kind of have a break to build up some more excitement. But then, of course, when you're in the sport, it's that it's the big race. Like, it's the race that everyone's on the start line of, even though we didn't know who was going to be on the start line until recently. But that there's going to be a great field, and part of me feels a bit like this is how I felt last year too, a bit like kind of like I need to be there because I need to be part of the growth of the sport, and I need to not be just kind of be there on those big events. Like, there's not a ton of places where you can have so many such a field of women, especially, and I just felt like this obligation to be there. And I felt that last year, and I went through with it. And this year I kind of said, I did that last year. I was at both of the two big 100-mile races. I've been wanting to do world champs. And I also, honestly, getting back from Hardrock just felt really tired in a way that I didn't feel after Western States last year. And I just wanted to kind of like let myself feel that tiredness and not, because at some point I was going to have to start training for UTMB. And I think the idea of doing UTMB wasn't what I didn't want to do. It was that I wasn't ready to just like jump back into training.
If I'm hearing correctly, are you saying you, to some extent, you felt obligated to race either Western or UTMB last year? There was obligation in it?
I think after Western States, we knew what, I think they released the start list earlier last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, I got to be there. Like everyone's there. Like, how can I not go? And I kind of fed into that because I also had this real excitement, like coming off Western States. I felt like I was, rebounding off Western States. Whereas after Hardrock, my body felt fine. It wasn't like a physical thing. It was more it just felt like I put a lot into that race and I felt really tired. And there isn't as much time as after Western States. And I kept reminding myself, like, you did UTMB last year because you wanted to do world champs. So, like,
Yeah.
we already made this plan.
Okay, one last hypothetical. If because they were released pretty late. If the start list had been released in the same time frame that they were released last year, would this have been a different decision calculus?
No, because I think
you were committed.
Once I really thought about it, I was like, no, I made all these decisions because I wanted to do world champs. I've never done world champs. It's every 2 years. This is the first. Innsbruck was in Europe, but like I didn't know where it was going to be in 2027. And now that I know where it's going to be in 2027, I'm really, really glad that I'm doing it this year. Because it's just more manageable, easier travel. It's a place I don't know super well, but it's close enough that it's not like flying to Thailand and then just crossing your fingers because you don't know what the conditions are at all. Like it's a bit more controlled. And there's something fun about like races being kind of like kind of releasing control to a new place that you don't know, but I kind of like racing when I know more or less what I'm getting myself into.
Coming back to Hardrock for a second, I thought it was interesting that, and you've talked about this on other podcasts and, in writing and whatnot, but you said that en route to that race, you had received all sorts of advice about, how to approach it and insights on what makes it difficult. And I think you said something along the lines of, I had a completely different experience, or maybe, half of what I was told ended up kind of being the case for me. And I guess I'm curious to get like your interpretation on Hardrock. Like to you, what makes that race challenging and difficult versus what you heard?
Oh, yeah, there's a few things at Hardrock that are not advertised at all and you don't see in any media communication that really surprised me. The first was just the number of dirt roads. Jarmo and I were like trying to add up the distance of dirt roads, and we were like pretty, I would say, lax in our definition. No, we were like pretty, sorry, the opposite of that. We were pretty like strict with our definition of dirt road. We weren't just picking like easy trail. It was like, it has to be like a dirt road.
Yeah.
And there's at least 40K of dirt road. That's a quarter of the race is on a dirt road. And you barely see that in any like communication. And the interesting thing is that those dirt roads are all, I think they're all angle, like they're all in the same direction when it comes to climbing or descending.
Okay.
And the direction we did it this year, we were climbing all the dirt roads.
Okay.
And so next year it will be descending all the dirt
climbing
roads.
the ramps, descending the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's not really talked about that much for good reason, because nobody wants to say that this like super mountainous
There's a mystique.
Is a quarter on like Jeep roads. But yeah, but on the other hand, there are some parts of the trail that are extremely technical, not in like a fun like ridge running technical kind of way, but just in like a really slippery and like really narrow trails, so you just can't run that fast. So the pace is really slow, which obviously everyone knows.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, was just like it's these really slow moments interspersed with kind of just being on the big dirt road.
So, do you have any interest in going back there?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, with all that information, like, how do you approach it differently?
Well, if I were to go back next year, I'd be running down all the dirt roads.
Yeah.
I think what direction did we do this year? Counterclockwise? I think clockwise is faster for sure. I think that's not really, I don't think we talk about that as much, that the directions are actually different speeds. It was something I asked when I first, got in and was like, okay, is there like something different with the directions?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, it's kind of like what you think, but it's kind of the same. But I firmly believe the other direction is faster. It's set up to be faster. But the only thing, yeah, I mean, now we're getting to like really details of this course,
I
but
love
like
it.
it finishes, when you do it in the other direction, you finish on kind of this high plateau. So I don't know, maybe that slows you down because you should be running at this super high altitude at the end in this like Pole Creek section. And I think if you can't run there, then you're kind of done.
Was it essential to be out there the way you guys were before the race prepping? Would you change anything this time around about like when you go out, if you go out?
I don't think I need to be there, or we needed to be there quite as long.
Yeah.
But I think it was important we were there that long the first time.
Yeah.
I think it's more about just like knowing what it feels like to be at those altitudes in your head mentally, like kind of accepting like this is the speed. This is how fast I need to move, and that's okay that it's that slow.
And I know you talked a lot about sort of the stomach issues that you faced mid race. Did that end up being the biggest limiter for you? Like if you were to have a breakthrough next year, would it actually be that, or would it be the core stuff you just mentioned?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's always something that kind of triggers you over the edge into the like zombie suffering mode at the end. And yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the decline for me. But I was able to pull it back together for the last couple hours, which was that was huge for me because I've finished a few races recently where I just kind of hit that and then just like survived to the end. And in this case this year, I was able to hit that and then kind of come back again. And that's what I took away as the positive from the race, even though I'm not super satisfied with with a large section. But I think what was good for me was just to see, like, now I know what the pace is. I think during the race you can, because the field is not dense, so you have nobody to cue off of.
Yeah.
You're just out there alone and you don't know if you're moving well or quickly or slowly, and you kind of just have to know yourself, which you need to know yourself here too. I think that's a big thing, but there's more like feedback constantly, like, okay, am I passing people? Are people passing me? At Hardrock you're just alone and you have to decide. But now I have that knowledge of like, okay, that's how fast I was going. Even when I was having the stomach problems, I was still actually moving well. And that was actually a good point to have pacers. I think they made a huge difference, just to be reassured, like having actual feedback. Like, no, your pace is actually fine. Like, you're moving fine. Whereas I think if they hadn't been there reassuring me, I would have just like lost it a bit more.
What's the most interesting aspect of Hardrock to you?
Well, for sure, the altitude is the biggest thing. Yeah, and I think it's tough because that's really genetic, how you react to altitude.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's overlooked, as like how much of it is just like your individual genetic reaction to the altitude, which obviously that can be argued at any race, because any like sporting event is genetics at some level.
Yeah.
But I think there it's magnified.
Okay. Do you respond well generally?
I think I'm like kind of neutral. I wouldn't say I'm like awesome at altitude, but I had an easier adaptation period than Jarmo, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Sierre-Zinal, which was just a few weeks ago, to, let's just call it the uneducated fan or the fan that isn't paying as close attention, how would you explain the result you had there where you were on the podium shortly after Hardrock? Like, talk about how you arrived at, like, what you did behind the scenes and in public to arrive to that type of result, which was incredible.
Wow, yeah, Sierre-Zinal was definitely the highlight of my season so far. And I actually decided to do that, I think 2 weeks before the race. When I finally made the decision, like for sure, I'm going to World Champs. And I looked at the calendar and I saw Sierre-Zinal, and I was like, oh, I've been wanting to do this for so long. And I've said on so many interviews, and people are like, oh, what do you want to do next? And like thinking that I somehow checked every like thing on my to-do list, which is, first, I don't have a to-do list, and second, that's not true at all. And I always say like I would love to go back to Sierre-Zinal, and I'm like, I need to actually do it. Like I keep saying that, like this is my chance, I can go. And they were really, really nice to let me in at the last minute, and so there was no plan there.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I really wanted to do it was because this is the most competitive trail race in the world, and it's not like really a debatable point. This is the densest field, both men and women, and by kind of admitting to myself, like, okay, no UTMB races this year. I just don't have the willpower to like train for that right now.
Yeah.
But I really want to race. Like it was this weird feeling of like I really want to be at a race, and I want to race and like enjoy that experience, but I just don't want to like go train for a bunch of hours right now because I just did that for a long time, and I just feel a little bit burnt out on it. So yeah, this Sierre-Zinal decision was a bit last minute, and I basically just went in like I just want to see where I'm at. And when you race on a format like that, you have feedback like constantly, and I went in just wanting to know like, okay, do I still have the ability to run fast after 2 months of like hiking around in the San Juans at high altitude? Like, am I a good climber? Can I still go down fast? Because I did have some like, I would say a little bit of lack of confidence after my like knee injury while I was in the San Juans. And can I still like, run these rollers? Like, I don't know. I haven't run that fast since before we left for the US in April. So it was sort of just like, I just want to see where I'm at and then kind of use it as feedback. And the day went so much better than I could have ever imagined.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm mostly just only asking because I see it as a different discipline, right, than what you're doing at Hardrock. And so, like, was it just carryover from all the like cross country racing that you did, do you think? Like, what do you draw from?
At the start line I saw Noah Williams.
Yeah.
And I was chatting with him really briefly. And I was sort of like sandbagging myself a little bit, and he said to me, I don't even know if he remembers this, he was like, yeah, but fitness is fitness, like, and I was like, that's true. I'm just gonna take that. And I think that's the explanation. It's just if you're in good shape, you're in good shape. And
yeah, there was at least one race you did in the lead up, which I'm mostly interested in it because I wish there were more of these stateside. Ascension de la Bonette.
Oh yeah,
like a longer purely uphill race, like VKs, but like I was just thinking like, oh, like back in Salt Lake, I wish we had that, like up Little Cottonwood Canyon,
like the opposite of Desert News.
Exactly. Yeah, Des News but reversed. Reversed Desert, exactly. Super cool.
Yeah, that was cool because that was a home road race, and this is like a classic climb and cycling. They actually did it. They went down that side in the tour last year, but it's like the classic col that we bike from the house, and I've always wanted to do it, but it's always been too close to UTMB.
Yeah.
And this year, Jean-Paul and I looked at the schedule and we're like, I think we can do that. I mean, it was only 2 weeks after Hardrock, so I kind of went into it like, all right, if I don't feel good, I'm just gonna like finish this as a run. And it would still be fun because like our neighbors are the ones doing the aid stations,
Yeah.
and I had like a good little group of guys to run with for like over half of it. Um, but yeah, there's a few. There's one up the Ventoux also.
Okay.
But there's a few like there's one in Les Deux Alpes also, I think. But yeah, there's a few like that. It's cool. Uphill road race, no DOMs.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you probably know, like, there's a company in Salt Lake called Revel, and they do downhill races. So like there's a downhill race from Brighton all the way to like the entrance to Big Cottonwood Canyon. I would never do that race. Um, when I was working at the Rustler Lodge up in Alta, we had an unofficial like bandit thing called Zooks, where you started at the base and finished at the A Lodge. But
Okay.
that was the extent of it. And like, so I don't know. I wish we had more of those.
The other thing I'll say about Sierre-Zinal is I think that I feel like people maybe forgot that I did do like sky running for a few years, and
Yeah.
like I was focused on like shorter races. It wasn't like I had only done ultras and then just like rolled up. I'd also done Sierre-Zinal before, so it wasn't like 100% new experience. Um and I did cross country all winter. Like I'm used to racing and I enjoy racing, and so that yeah, I think just having fitness, I was pretty well rested, I think, compared to most of the other people in the Golden Trail
Right.
series.
Right.
I also had like a lot less on the line. Like I could kind of just,
Be free.
yeah, once I came into the first big aid station or first like crude aid station, and I was in eighth, and I was already like, this is the best day ever. And then they just got better. So, but I think you can create that feeling for yourself, even if you have all the pressure in the world.
Yeah.
Um, but it was fun for me to like kind of remember like, oh yeah, I really just like love racing and like just being there and like passing people, have people pass you, and being in the game of it.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's an interesting case study in how long like muscle memory lasts for. Like you said, you have this like long multi-year history of racing in shorter distances outside of the ultra scene. And then yeah, you did the cross country stuff, but like still there's that gap, and like you focused on hard rock for a lot of months.
But also, I mean, even a race like Hardrock Hardrock's at high altitude, so it's hard to compare. But a race like UTMB, if you can't run at 4 per K they changed the beginning this year, but normally, if you can't run at 4 per K for the first 8K as a guy, let's
Right.
say, and you want to finish in the top 10,
Yeah.
maybe let's say top 5, if you can't run at a pace like that for 8K without feeling fatigued, you cannot be in the top 5. So you I think sometimes we're still stuck in this old like approach to ultra running, which is like power hiking.
Yeah.
And it's not like you need to be a good power hiker, but you have to feel the run.
Yeah. You got to be
You
fast.
you don't even necessarily have to be fast, because a 3 hour race at Sierre-Zinal is not fast. 3 hours is longer than professional marathoners run a marathon.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to run at like a pace that isn't slow and be able to maintain it, or just not like feel a huge effect from it.
Well, let me ask this then. If you look at everything you've done this year and everything you've been working on in training, and actually going back to your comment about feeling inspired by what's happening in women's ultra running and just seeing all these people really leveling up fast, what do you feel like you've improved upon the most this year? Where has your improvement come?
I think my improvement came on the theme of this year for me is like flexibility, adaptability, and Hardrock there's a little fewer things you can control than at like something like Western States or even
Yeah.
UTMB, especially because I've done this loop so many times. And Hardrock was totally new, and there's so many other things happening, and like a lot more you have to manage on your own because you are really alone.
Yeah.
So I think I saw I could calm down a little bit, or like not hold on to things too tightly. Like for 5 days, I was actually sitting on a couch, not able to bend my knee, like 4 or 5 weeks before the race. And that was really hard for me, obviously, as
Yeah.
someone who likes to try to control every detail.
Yeah.
And at some point I was able to just be like, all right, this is like what's happening. It's gonna be done soon. It's not like an overuse injury. I don't have to be stressed about it afterwards. And it's like I make it sound like I, just like learned and became a new person. I'm still, I have to remind myself like, okay, it's gonna be okay. But I do think I was able to take some more steps into being a bit more flexible this year.
Do you feel like in like a different era with that injury you had, you might not have even lined up for Hard Rock? Like, was like that type of
No,
stuff in
I would. I
question?
mean, I was already there,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but I think once I was able to start running again, it was like I wasn't staring at my training log with this whole like stressed about this whole. I was like, okay, that already happened. I can't change it.
Yeah.
We're just doing what we can from now on.
Okay. This kind of just randomly came up, but we've talked about this on our long run archives episodes a couple times, and it's related to Sierre-Zinal, I promise. We've hypothesized about if and whether the sport would be better off if we isolated the elites and had like elite only races. And as I was researching this episode, it came up that you, I think in 21, did Sierre-Zinal. And that was
Elites
like an
only.
elite only race that year.
Yeah.
And from your standpoint as a pro athlete, was that like an ideal setting in which to race without anyone else in the field?
It's really hard it's hard because that year at Sierre-Zinal, the women started, I think 15 minutes before the men, maybe 20 minutes before the men. And all I remember is being past the entire, after the first 40 minutes, being past the entire race. So I can't even reflect on the fact that it was elites only. All I remember was men passing me for 2.5 hours and being just like, I don't even know how that went because I don't know where I was in the field. I don't know when I was moving well because people were just passing me. I never passed a single I think I passed one other girl like at the end, but I had no feedback and I didn't feel like I was in a race because it was really clear that it was obviously a separate men's and women's race. Whereas when I did Sierre-Zinal, whatever, a couple weeks ago, I'm still running. I mean, of course, I'm trying to cue off the other women that I can see because it's a shorter race, so there's more people around. But yeah, I can still cue off the guys next to me, like, okay, I'm going to pass this guy. Okay, I'm doing well, on the flats because I just passed 3 people there.
Yeah.
So that's all I really remember. What's cool about an elite only race is that you don't have as much like kind of craziness, especially for the women's start, because Sierre-Zinal does like quickly go onto a single track and you kind of have to fight for your position as a female. But it's also kind of fun in a way because you really feel like you're racing. And I don't know, once you start doing elite only starts, then there's fewer people cheering. Because, like, for example, I was at Sierre-Zinal 100% alone. I had nobody. I guess Coop came to watch, and I had like another friend who came to cheer for me somewhere.
Yeah.
But the people with a lot of people cheering for them are not necessarily at the front of the race. And that you kind of lose that if you're only putting the elites on the start line.
Okay, so maybe you would say it depends for the only races and also similar start across the board.
Oh, for men and women?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even I was chatting briefly with some athletes who do more Golden Trail series races or like that style races, and apparently I didn't realize that they were doing separate starts. And they were saying, yeah, it's tough for everybody because the guys feel bad when they're passing because they don't want to interrupt you, and you feel bad because you're like kind of blocking them, and it makes everyone uncomfortable. I'm sure somebody thinks it's great, and I would love to hear their argument, but for me, it just puts everyone in kind of an awkward situation.
How about, and again, I just came across this stuff in research and it's interesting. I didn't realize that you've also done Trans Rockies before.
Yeah,
you've done multi-stage racing. Did you like that? Was that fun?
Well, I did the Coastal Challenge.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. But how was Trans Rocky? Because, by the way, I also found out this is the last year of Trans Rockies.
I heard. Yeah. We heard because we were in Leadville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that race cool?
Yeah. So Jean and I we met in 2016 when I had first moved to Switzerland. And the first thing that I kind of remember, like the first thing he like asked me to do, like as a thing together, because he asked me to do the Pyramenta Ete with him, which is like the summer version of the Skimo race.
Yeah.
And it used to be a lot bigger. It's lost some traction recently because there's a lot of other events the same weekend, but it's a 3-day race in the Beaufortin. You stay like basically in a college dorm. And that's 3 days of the partner race. And so we were like, I mean, I was like, yeah, cool, like great. I mean, do you I barely I mean, we had just met and
Yeah.
we were yeah. So anyway, we decided to do that, and then over the next few months he had been in touch with one of the organizers at Trans Rockies, and they had invited him to come with a partner to run Trans Rockies. And we were like, "Well, perfect. Like you can come to the US, it'll be super fun." And that's back when I don't know what it is now, but it was really like focused on the partner race
Yeah.
then in 2017.
Yeah.
Um and
I think
yeah,
Ryan Gelfie and David Laney ran it that year too, because Ryan was my coach at the time.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was kind of it was everyone was doing it.
It was hip.
Partner race,
Yeah.
yeah. And we went like in our Euro style from what we had done at Pyramenta with our like elastic, like he was pulling me. It was, I mean, we really treated it as like a team race. Like he carried all my stuff for me. He would like give me food and he would run, 20 meters ahead to the aid station to like get all the stuff I wanted. So I never had to stop. Yeah, we were using the elastic, which people were like a little confused about, but we got the okay from the organizers. Anytime there was like a roller, he would like push me. And yeah, that we had a lot of fun. And like, I think actually in those partner races, I think I've talked about this before, but I really think it's where I learned how to actually like push myself in an endurance setting. Because I'd only come from team sports where it's just like, okay, you run as hard as you can at the ball,
Yeah.
try to get there first.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know like how like what it feels like to be tired in a race, but be tired and say like, oh, but this is okay. I can keep doing this for like an hour or two and kind of like find that line to play with. And running with somebody else who's like constantly pushing you over your edge that you normally would stop at. I think I was able to see like, oh, I could keep going harder actually, and I still finished the race. And I think I was able to like kind of find this feeling or just like yeah, sort of an understanding of like how hard I was able to push myself in those situations because I felt really like I think I just felt safe because I was with someone who I trusted and I put a lot of trust in him knowing like how hard he thought I could run too. And it just put me in this setting where I could like really be like, okay, oh, I went way too hard. All right, now I'm dying. Or oh, I still finished. So I think I learned a lot in that summer.
That's incredible. Do you remember? And I regret not taking part in this. Like when I saw the news that it was not going to be a thing anymore, I was like, oh, like it was like vaguely on my bucket list. Do you remember the setup, like in between days, like where you would stay and like like the direction of the course and stuff, like where you were headed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did it go?
We started in Buena Vista. You kind of did some like mountain bike tracks there. Which I remember Jarmo was like really annoyed by because he was like, these are trails that are just trails for no reason. Like they do not bring you anywhere. They just like wind around in circles. Buena Vista, then we did like Hope Pass. We slept on the soccer field in Leadville.
Oh, they don't put you up. They don't like put you in like hotels or anything like that.
No, we were camping.
You're camping. Okay.
Yeah, I think there was like a pack you could
Yeah.
buy that was like not for us. we just took whatever the organization gave us. But I mean, they set up your tent and everything. It was pretty like it was like glamping.
Okay.
Yeah. Aspen, I guess. Yeah, it kind of went down the valley from Leadville.
Okay.
It wasn't a strict point to point. It wasn't like you were starting and ending in a line. Like there was some shuttling involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't think you were going to talk about Trans Rockies today.
No.
Has that been the most exotic race you've done, just in terms of like the experience?
No, Coastal Challenge.
Okay, I haven't heard much about this.
Oh, okay. It's pretty. they get a few elite athletes every year.
Hayden's done it. I know Hayden's done it.
Hayden
Yeah.
is like, because I think he did his mission in Costa
Okay.
Rica
Yeah.
or in a
I think
Spanish-speaking
so.
country.
South America,
Yeah,
South American at least.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd heard about it from other athletes being there, and I actually used it as sort of a very far range, like far out prep for Western States in 2023 to sort of just get a sense of like running in the heat. And I knew it was like a lot of runnable trails. Um, and I always wanted to do it. So I was like, okay, it's kind of the perfect time. I can kind of see how I feel running in the heat, get kind of my running legs underneath me in February, I guess February. Um, so yeah, it's really humid
Okay.
and there's yeah, it's actually not the like front of my mind now, so I have to really think back, but it's definitely an adventure. Like I was pretty happy by the last day when it was done. And it's a lot of running. The days are way longer than Trans Rockies.
Okay.
I was mostly impressed by the people who would like finish at dinner time and then be like eating their dinner, listening to the briefing for the next day. And then we would start at sunrise at like 6, I think. We started at 6 every morning.
Mm.
So they were just like, there was no break, you know. They were basically doing like a supported through hike. And the rest of us had a bit more time to like kind of relax. But it was really hot and it was really hard to sleep.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing, it was really hard to sleep.
Yeah. Top of mind for me because Jimmy, who's staying here as well, we just did a TMB fast pack, and it honestly it felt like it amounted to stage racing relative to our own levels of fitness and stuff. Like I would go to sleep at night and just try to cram in as many calories as possible, knowing like the next day I had 30 or 40 miles, and it just that's why I just found the Trans Rockies stuff in this, because I was like, oh, it's like top of mind, and like Katie kind of had that experience too, and I wonder like how it translates in a race context.
I would say Trans Rockies was like way more low key in terms of distances.
Yeah.
It was more manageable. Like you were finishing around lunchtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know the Long Trail is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
Tara just got the overall
Yes.
50
So
on it.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that interest you at all, like the multi-day Long Trail stuff?
Only the Long Trail interests me.
Okay, but it does.
Um, a little bit, yeah. I mean, I think just because it was so like important. It's like such an important trail from my childhood. Yeah, to give like the backstory, my dad had hiked it over 3 summers with his friend, like I think in high school, and it was always the like bedtime story was him telling me about his like backpacking trips on the Long Trail. And so then naturally when I was in high school, I was like, I want to go backpacking on the Long Trail. Maybe not all high school girls are like begging their dads to go on a backpacking trip with them, but that's what I was so excited about it. I think all the like logistics and like the idea of like having everything you need on your back and doing this like point to point, like there's like a purpose every day. I just loved it. Like I loved every part of it. And getting into like the gear, and we were reading, all the like through hiking blogs to we spent a lot of time on the internet, dial up internet. And yeah, so we ended up like section hiking it over 3 summers when I was in high school. And and then I went to school at Middlebury College in Vermont, which was very close to the Long Trail, and spent a lot of time just hiking around those areas. And yeah, it's a trail that's like feels close to me. And yeah, it was so cool to see Tara take the overall record. I'm not sure, like it's not the type of thing I'd like to do that I can picture like, oh, next year I'll do that. It's more like that would be cool at some point, but I don't know.
Because you know it so well, I have to ask, like, for people that are uninitiated and they can't quite conceive of what Tara did on that trail, like, what makes it a challenge?
The trail is really different. The bottom third overlaps the AT. I guess we didn't say it goes from Canada to
Massachusetts.
goes from Massachusetts to Canada through Vermont. And the bottom third overlaps with the AT, and it's kind of the stereotype is that it's like more rolling terrain, not technical. And then it kind of, if you start from the south and go north, which is what my dad and I did, it just gets slowly more and more technical. But I guess she started in the north and ended south. So she started in the hardest spot and ended on like the easier terrain, which probably makes sense
Yeah.
for this kind of like FKT effort. But the northern part is just really wild. It's not that well traveled. It's super technical. It's just like rocks. It's like boulders with like roots covered in moss on them. You don't even really know where the trail goes at times because you're just like winding in and out of boulders. I feel like it's this kind of horizontal distance that isn't reflected in watch data because you're just like sidestepping constantly. Uh, yeah, so it's a beast, and yeah, she looked worked at the end. So,
Emily was out there for all of
oh,
it.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, I think, well, I know you went back and gave the Hut Traverse a solid effort, and that has a lot of sentimental value. Do you feel like it's like not an if, but when? Like, will you do it at some point in your career and give it a solid effort? Like, could we?
Oh, I don't think I'm like that committed. I
Okay.
think I'm just like, oh, that it's more like a dream.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I probably would be more likely to do another Hut Traverse.
Couple more questions, I think, before we go. I knew a fair bit about Innsbruck, like the location of the 23 world champs before that race, and so just like understanding what the runners were going to get themselves into, it was, at least to me, less foreign. But I know next to nothing about Canfranc. Like, have you been out there? Have you seen where the course is going to be, like getting ready for this?
Yeah,
Can you give fans a sense of like where, like what's going to unfold here?
yeah, I was there the week after Sierre-Zinal, and it is a lot of it is very technical. Not in again, not in like this like there are some ridge parts, I guess, but there's a lot of just like long grass and things where when you go to run on the course when it's not marked is really slow. I imagine it'll be a lot faster once it's marked
Yeah.
because you don't have to navigate. Um, but yeah, it's special. It's even hard for me to describe. It's weird. Like there's
Any American equivalent, like region of the country?
no, it's
Okay.
super
It's its
technical.
own.
No, yeah, it's like the first. There's so much off. Like technically, there's a trail, I guess, but there's so much like off trail.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting to see a lot of, at least the American athletes that I follow, like Hayden, for example, was like, I'm not going to do this race, at least in part because I just don't think it suits my skill set,
Hmm.
you know? So I don't know. I mean, and again, for others, I feel like it's shrouded until at least we've talked about it, like in a little bit of mystery. But
I think it's gonna be interesting to see how things play out because it's gonna favor yeah, different skill sets than something like this or like more of a standard trail race. It's more like an 80K fell race, I think. As someone who's done only one like fell race ever, but
which one was that?
Glencoe.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Was that the one? Is it the November one? Like,
It was in September,
I'm thinking
I
of
think.
Kendall Mountain. Sorry, I'm thinking of Kendall
Oh,
Mountain in the UK. Yeah.
no, yeah, the Glencoe, like the
Skyline.
50K. No, not the. Yeah, it was called the Skyline. But then they kind of like I don't know. At some point there was the 50K, which did like this like real like tons of scrambling and like off trail ridge stuff, and then they sort of made something a Golden Trail series on like a shorter course. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, that was 2017. Yeah.
Nice. All right. I have to read this quote. You did an interview with Doug Mayer for Outside. This was last year. I think it was right before either Western UTMB. And you had an interesting quote, but it was sort of left without context. You said, quote, I've always wanted to take on challenges I'm not sure I could complete. And as I was reading it, what I wanted to ask you is like, what would that be these days? Like how, like, because you seem like someone who like knows you, you like to have certainty, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of know what you're getting into.
I think I could take, I don't know exactly what I would have been talking about, but I think maybe replace the word complete with like achieve.
Mm.
Like at this point, I know I can run a full loop around the Mont Blanc. I've done it 4 times. 2 of the times I cried for half the time. So I know I can do it in a pretty bad state too. But I think it would be more like when you're on the start line and you're like, okay, like for example, last year I really wanted to try to run under 22 hours, and that I didn't know if I could do, and I didn't. And the same at Hard Rock this year. Like I actually thought I could, that the women's time should be closer to 24 hours, and I was very far off that. And I think that's brought a bit more interest to what I've been doing recently, is like not just setting attainable goals, like setting like bigger goals and being like, yeah, there's a really good chance this is not going to work out. And that's hard because after Hard Rock, I was pretty disappointed because to like explain why,
Please.
the men's times are so much faster than the women's times. And yeah, it was really, I mean, I can't say I'm like totally disappointed I ran the fastest time in that direction, but there's still so much time between the first man and the first woman in both directions. And I really, like, even talking to Katarina Hartmouth before the race, we were like, yeah, there's no reason why the women's time shouldn't be closer to 24 hours. But then you're mid-race and you're like, I can't go any faster than this. But I think in setting those big goals, it gave me something like scarier to think about in training. Like, okay, this is what I'm thinking about. Like, this is what I'm preparing for. I just, yeah, more recently, most recently with Hard Rock, I think I'm trying to be like kinder to myself. Like, okay, it's okay to not, like, we set a big goal because we knew it was a big goal. Like, if you are always matching your goals, then it's probably not big enough.
Is that, because again, like I do really get the sense that you're mostly, if not all, like internally motivated. Are you like a pretty harsh critic?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to be better.
I think everybody.
I need to steal some of that.
Everybody doing this is a really harsh critic. Otherwise, we would just go on like fun hikes and be like, "Oh, that was enjoyable."
Yeah. Okay, last question, I promise. With the sport getting more competitive, do you think that the type of race schedule that you currently have, do you feel like that is going to be sustainable in the long term, or do you feel like you need to pare back? Or are you doing it like already correctly?
You mean like in terms of number of events?
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking about it, because it looks like, for example, Ruth Croft before UTMB, she really seems like she's going to come in, and Courtney too. They're both going to come into this race fairly well rested. Whereas there's a lot of guys on the men's side that are like, coming off pretty challenging, like 100-mile doubles.
I would say there's athletes who like Ruth. Well, I mean, yeah, Ruth is probably the best example of someone who really just like knows herself and knows that she just wants to do one race, and she knows she can go all in on it, and she knows that I think she knows where her limits are and what makes her happiest. And I think you just see people choosing what makes them happiest. Like, some people really like to race all the time.
Yeah.
I think like Hayden, like he loves racing, and like that's super cool, and I love following that. And then some people just like to have their long preparation and have like one target. But that's what makes like all the athletes different, is like you don't know who's coming with what. Yeah. And everyone has their own style. But yeah, I don't know. In the past, we like nobody would do 200-mile races in a year. I guess no, I don't know what I'm saying, because the French would often do like UTMB Diagonal des Fous. So I don't know. I guess it's like personal preference.
You don't feel overstretched though.
No, if anything, I feel like I'm on the conservative side. Cool. I race way more in the winter than I do in the summer.
Yeah.
I think we race like every weekend in the winter. Yeah.
Well, Katie, honestly, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for the time. I know you were wondering, like, what are we doing here, UTMB week? I will give you context. I think, like, the way we are doing these, like, if there's just an interesting, cool person in town that is just hanging out, like, we want to have the conversation.
Oh, wow. I'm honored.
So
it's not just for Mainers.
Well, there's a Maine piece to it, definitely. But
you got to get Adam married. Is he actually from Maine?
So Adam is from California, but his partner is from I want to say Dexter, Maine,
Oh,
or
okay.
one of those towns to the west of Bangor.
Banger.
So the real Maine. Banger. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes to people that don't know, I say I'm from Maine, but to people that know, I don't necessarily say that I'm from Maine. All right, cool. Appreciate your time and super excited to follow your race in Canfranc next month.
Yeah, I know it's only in a month.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'll be out on the course Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll be very stressed.
Yeah. Best of luck to Germont, to
Thanks.
Serge.
Yeah, Serge.
To Serge. Cool. Thanks so much, seriously.
Yeah, yeah.